Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about how to find the perfect job for you in 2019 or whenever. Basically, I'll be sharing with you several tips and strategies that will help you find a perfect job if you're trying to look for a new job, or if you are just entering the job market and you're trying to figure out how you can get that dream job which you so desire. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Annette. I would love it if you subscribed and followed me also on my Instagram account. My Instagram handle is @itsannetta, and I also love it if you hit the bell button so you get notified whenever I upload videos. I upload videos twice a week covering a wide variety of topics, so I'll love it if you came back and joined the family and joined the fun. Today, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about how to find your dream job in 2019 and beyond. So the first step that you need to master is be clear as to what it is you want. Do you want a high-paying job that will probably require you to spend more and more time away from your family for a period of time? Or do you want a low-paying job with low stress, if you will, that may or may not require you to be at work for 40 hours a week? Or do you want a full-time job? Do you want a part-time job? Do you want a job in a city, or do you want a job in a suburban area? For example, if you want a job in a city, do you live in a city or are you going to commute into the city? Or if you want a job in the suburbs, do you live in the suburbs or are you going to commute to the suburbs? And how is that going to affect your overall quality of life? Also, ask yourself important questions like, are you licensed to practice or to perform the responsibilities and the roles required of you in that particular job? Or do you have the degree, or do you have the experience? Just be clear on what your goals are. If you can create a checklist, that would be very helpful. Like, yes, I'm an RN, I did get my nursing degree, I'm licensed to practice in the state of South Dakota, I want a job in the suburbs, I want a job making XYZ amounts of money, I want a job that provides me with at least 2 weeks paid vacation time a year, I want a job that provides me with continuing education credit. Just be clear as to what it is you want, and also be realistic. If you are a college grad, fresh grad, and you have virtually no work experience, and your dream job, provides a salary in your mind of $150,000, that's probably not going to happen, except you are in Silicon Valley or something, really astronomical. So be honest with yourself. Do you have the requisite skills that are commensurate with the amount of money that you want? Do some market research and figure out what the salary range is in your profession. Ask questions if you don't know the answer. Reach out to people. Just be clear, first of all. That's the very first thing you need to do. You can't start this process of looking for a job very wishy-washy and saying, oh, well, I'll take anything, but this is what I really want. But I don't have the skills for this, so maybe I'll just take this. No, it doesn't work that way, because then what's ultimately going to happen is you're going to take a less paying job than you would have taken had you been more strategic with your job search and figuring out what's most important to you. Or you're going to take a high paying job or medium paying job while you're lacking the knowledge, the skills, the experience, and it's just overall going to be a terrible situation for you. So be honest with yourself, do some research, be clear on your goals, and be clear with your objective, taking into consideration where you are right now and where you're trying to go. That's the most important part and the most important thing to take into consideration when you're trying to get your dream job. Second thing to do is, once you figured out what it is you want to do, for example, if you're an accountant and you figured out, I want to work in an organization and I want to work as their accounts receivable specialist. So what am I going to do? What do you do at that point? You tailor your resume and your cover letter to the demands of that job. Never, ever, ever send out a simple generic resume and simple generic cover letter to multiple employers. I'll say that again. Never, ever, ever send out a generic resume and a generic cover letter to multiple employers. While your resume may somewhat be generic, your cover letter must not, absolutely not be generic. So what do? You check the job description. If the job description says we want somebody who is excellent in Excel, PowerPoint, Microsoft Access, QuickBooks, or whatever, take that information and incorporate it into your cover letter and state that In my previous job, I was very good at Excel. I got an award for being able to convert numbers into QuickBooks, which helped save the company over 25%. Something like that. Be sure to make sure that the things that the company has taken its time to write and specify as a requirement for this job is clearly reflected in your cover letter, to the extent that you do have that experience, you have embodied that experience, and show how that makes you a great candidate. I know all of this takes time, and that brings me to my very next tip. Understand that job searching takes time. It's a full-time job looking for a full-time job. So if you're currently employed and you're trying to look for a new job, but all you do is passively send out the quick apply resumes on LinkedIn, it's not going to happen. That's not how it works. If you're fully employed at this point in time and you're trying to find a new job, you have to know that when you get home from work, you have to devote 3 to 5 hours or 2 to 3 hours in at least 3 days a week to tailoring your resume and cover letter to jobs that you're applying for, and making sure that your application is on point, your references check out, you correctly fill out the form, and you're not just sending out a resume and a cover letter that's not reflective of the role. You have to understand that this is going to take a while. Job searches take a while and they take time. And as monotonous as it is, redoing your cover letter, redoing your resume and all of that, it's part of what needs to be done. So if you're waiting only for the weekends and then every weekend you send out 2 resumes, that's not how it's going to happen. That's not how it works. I would never forget my very first job out of college. I went on 22 interviews before I landed my very first job. I went on 22 interviews in a space of 6 to 8 weeks while looking for a job. And I was able to get that many interviews because every other day I spent 8 hours a day at Panera Bread, because they had the free Wi-Fi. Starbucks didn't have free Wi-Fi back then. Only Panera Bread in my area had free Wi-Fi. And I would go there at 10 o'clock in the morning and I would be there till 8 o'clock at night. I'll buy lunch there, I'll get water, lemonade, and some days I didn't buy anything, but they saw me and they knew I was there. And they had an internet connection I didn't have at home, because I tried to figure out what was important to me as far as my utilities and what I could, manage and what I could do without. And I chose cable over internet. So cable television over internet. So internet was important to me, obviously, for job searching, and I spent 8 hours a day. I treated it like a full-time job. I basically got up, showered, put on makeup, didn't wear a blazer, but also didn't wear sweatpants, was comfortable, and sat down and sent out resumes, customized resumes, filled out applications, reached out for referrals, asked people for references, checked out different articles on Forbes magazine on job searching, watched videos on YouTube on job searching, did a lot of things that helped narrow down my job search. And I did that one day, and then I took the next day off. Meaning I scheduled my interviews on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday I spent the whole day applying for jobs, following up on interviews, sending out applications, and doing all of that. I treated it like a full-time job. So that's something you have to do, and that's something you have to know. It's not something that's going to come with, a secondary application there. It might happen when you're fully established and you have like 15 or 20 years, employment history, and you can simply get a job at dinner or like at a golf course or just by having a phone call with someone. But until then, you have to pound the pavement. It's just what has to be done. So it's best to understand that this is what's required of you in order to find a job. The next tip that I recommend for you guys is to increase your visibility among social media networking platforms. For example, LinkedIn is great when it comes to job searches. They send you customized alerts, job postings. You can go to chat rooms within LinkedIn, I believe, and chat with other people who are looking for jobs, or there are groups of people, alumni association, which is comprised of people that went to the same undergraduate or graduate school as you did, and you can reach out to people there and say, hey, does anyone know anyone who's hiring for an engineer or an architect or a lawyer here or there? These are my credentials, please let me know. You can use that as an avenue to be more visible, because the truth is, while you're sending out those hundreds and thousands of resumes, those hundreds and thousands of resumes are not going to get looked at with the same sense of urgency all the time. You never know what goes on, in the recruiting field. You never know what goes on once you hit the apply button. There's so many factors, and it's best not to just box yourself into the sending out my resume every day type of job application. take it a step further. Make employers look for you. So to the extent that there's a recruiter who's on LinkedIn, I see recruiters on LinkedIn all the time, by the way, who is looking for a young graduate who is trying to find a job in maybe, sales and marketing. And me as a recruiter, I'm a recruiter for, let's say, a car rental company. If your name pops up on my feed by virtue of you posting, leaving comments on articles, or writing articles about the auto industry or about sales and marketing and things like that, you then become more visible to me. In the same light, other people who maybe know some other people within their network who also may be in positions where they can help you, if they see a post like that, they're likely to remember you, and they're likely to say, okay, let me go ahead and pass your information along, give this girl a chance or give this guy a chance. More people are willing to help you than you actually do realize. More people are willing to not necessarily put in a good word for you because they may not know you, but they're at least willing to send your resume and pass your resume along. And if all you do is just sit behind a computer and send your resume out every day, all day, and not increase your visibility and let people see you by attending networking events or meeting with other people and writing articles on LinkedIn, being more visible on LinkedIn, let people know that you are a stellar candidate and you're ready, willing, able, and eager to learn as well as help, you may not be able to get the job you actually are looking for. But if you embody these steps, you totally probably will. The final tip that I would recommend you guys master if you're trying to find a perfect job in 2019 is to network within your network. Guys, I've said this so many times. I have given people jobs by virtue of them reaching out to me because they went to law school with me, they went to undergrad with me, and they heard that my company was hiring, or a company I was affiliated with before at some point asked if I knew someone who will be able to perform XYZ functions, and I referred an individual that I know, a good friend of mine, and she got the job. In the same light, I have gotten jobs by virtue of my relationship with people. I will say this again, my very first job out of law school was through a friend of mine who I knew, and she knew one of the partners at the firm. And then from there, I knew soon after that I didn't want to stay there for a long time, but I got the experience that I needed, and I moved my way up to a different company, and my career just kept going on and on after that. So that's something you need to take into consideration. Your mentor, people you went to graduate and undergraduate school with, people in your social circle, people your spouse knows, people that you know from back home. And this particular rule applies regardless of the profession you're in. I've known doctors who've helped doctors single-handedly. I know attorneys who've helped attorneys single-handedly. In the same light, I'm pretty sure people in construction and accounting and engineering still operate by the same principles. So be sure to hone in your networking with regard to the people you already know, people within your network. Try to maximize that relationship and try to build on that relationship and let them know, hey, by the way, I know you worked at XYZ company, I'm looking for a job here, can you please put in a good word? The worst thing they can do is say no, and the best thing they can do is send your resume along. And at that point, if they say no, okay. And if they say yes and they send your resume along, the hiring manager is more likely to look at that resume that comes from a referral within the company, or from a referral from their boss, or a referral from their coworker, with an open mind and with a chance of at least just getting you in for an interview before they take it to the next step. Now, when you get to the interview, that's a whole different ballgame. A whole different factors are at play. There's a likability factor, there's whether or not you're nervous, or you're nervous enough, do you know much about the company? So many factors go into the interview process, it's a whole different thing. But that's not what this video is about. But at least what you want to do is get your foot in the door, because who knows, you may totally blow them away. Totally blow them away by virtue of how great you are and how well you're able to present yourself. I personally have been able to get a job by sending out resumes blindly. Like I mentioned, I went on 22 different interviews with 22 different companies. Some of those interviews were repeat interviews. Sometimes I interviewed up to like the third round, and whatever, I wasn't a good fit, or they wanted somebody else, or whatever it was. But I've gotten interviews by virtue of people recommending me for a job. I've gotten interviews by virtue of me networking, and then they recommended me for a job. I've gotten interviews by virtue of me just sending out my resume, and I've gotten jobs by virtue of me just knowing the person and having a conversation with the person. So It's good to make sure that you're able to get all the information you need in one source and diversify at the same time. Be clear on your goals, treat looking for a job as a full-time job, ensure that you're visible through LinkedIn and networking events and other platforms. That way people keep you front and center if there's a job available or if they know someone who can help you. Also network within your network. It's not easy to find a job, but it's not impossible. And also, if you find a job that may not be your dream job, don't sweat it, because if there's anything I know about life is that it may not give you exactly what you think you want at this particular time, but it definitely is going to give you what you need. So while your dream job may be to work in Silicon Valley, but instead you got a job in Ohio, be calm, be patient, because that job is going to probably propel you towards that future job that you want. It's probably going to teach you the skill sets, probably going to give you some life lessons, and probably just going to make you a better, more rounded individual, so that way whenever that future opportunity rolls along, you're ready and available for it. Or it would actually let you know that, you know what, that opportunity that I thought was the best thing in the world, I really don't even want it. I really don't want that type of lifestyle. Thanks to this new job, now I know. So I think it's important for you to follow these steps and master these steps, and let me know if you have any questions with regard to any of the tips that I discussed today. I would love it if I heard some feedback from you guys with regard to any of these ideas. And no one likes looking for a new job while you're working or while you're not working. It's part of life. Just keep going with the process, and I hope that I've been able to some way, somehow provide you some helpful information that would help you in the future. If you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do just that. I totally appreciate it, and if you are, thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye guys.